So I am on a LiveDVD where I can record some of the installation process of installing Funtoo. I can't install anything on the LiveDVD. As you can see, there is no space at all on the USB stick left for installing anything, and in fact Emerge is blocked. But I have set up the hard drives according to my script, and I talked about before that I'm using a script like this when I am installing anything. So I've gone through this to create my partitions and mounting my partitions, which enables me to save this video to my home folder, which is nice. So as you can see, I have all of my SDA drives mounted. The SDB is the USB stick where this live DVD is running from. So everything is prepared for installing, and I've gone through a couple of other steps as well. So I've downloaded this tar with all the files, and I'm ready to set up the basic system. So what I will go on to do is just start copying some file and updating everything, and go through all of the settings. But before I do that, we can take a look at this LiveDVD that I'm running, because I'm actually currently not running Funtoo. I'm running Calculate Linux. This particular LiveDVD has LXQt, which personally I favor. I think it's nice. Calculate Linux is developed or it's originated from Russia. They have really good support from Russia for Russian fonts, and most of the servers are in Russia. What's a bit weird is that they changed from a rolling release and they have a fixed release. So I guess that they are they want to keep things as stable as possible or something like that, and they're up to version 17 like you saw. But they have some nice graphics set up, and I mean it's a nice operating system, or nice distribution rather. I'm not sure if I agree with the default apps that they have chosen, but you know, to each his own. Some of them are the ones that I am using myself as well. But there's a lot of stuff included in this LiveDVD. You have pretty much everything you need, and like I said, it's based on LXQt, so it's in my opinion that's a nice environment to work in. It's very lightweight and good for a USB stick. And as you can see, they have most of the software that you need. They have the Qt PC Man file manager, and of course they are including on the LiveDVD the Qt Record My Desktop, which I'm using to record this. Unfortunately, the sound doesn't work in that, which is why I really wanted to install OBS Studio, which is what I normally use. But I can't do that, and I'm recording the sound afterwards, after this whole is I recorded the video previously. I'm currently looking at what I did before. But yeah, they have Mate, XFCE and KDE as the default desktops, and also LXQt, which is only available from one of their mirrors currently. But it's a decent distribution. What I kind of don't like about Calculate Linux is, if we go to look at make.conf, doesn't exist, it's a directory. Okay, what's in the directory? Some files. In those files is pretty much nothing. And actually it says there that I should go to varlib layman make.conf to look at the rest of the make.conf, but even there it's a bit hidden. And when I was recording the video, I was sitting there thinking, wait a minute, where was that? How did they split it up? They have some weird structure where they have in the root a run directory with lots of folders for settings and stuff that is mirroring what they normally set up in the etc. So you see they have a lot of changes actually in their normal setup, and I don't see any reason for changing all of this other than to hide it so that no one else can copy their settings or something like that. Like, oh, we made this really nice distribution, we don't want anyone copying it. But I mean, if you just take some time, you are going to be able to find all those settings. They still use OpenRC and it is open. So you just need to learn a whole new system, which doesn't really make sense to me. I don't understand why they have to hide everything behind lots of weird setups like this. Maybe it's a culture thing that's the way you want to do it in Russia. I don't know. I really don't know why they would want to do that. But yeah, right now I figured out that I should be super user to view that file. But as you can see, the files that I'm looking at are just garber. I didn't find what I was looking for, and this is, I mean, it is based on the Gen 2 distribution, so I don't understand why they have to change everything from the Gen 2 distribution in how settings are done. So they have made a really nice distribution, but I mean, if you compare it to Sabayon, which is French, originated in France, if you look at their make.conf, it's entirely open. They have some weird settings like 16 jobs as default. But yeah, the thing that I don't like about Sabayon is that it's a bit like the Ubuntu or Debian philosophy, that you pull in everything, then you have all your bases covered, and then you will not be in trouble as often, I guess. But there is no reason to pull in everything. You just need to pull in the hardware that is supported. I don't have a reason to pull in all those cameras. I don't have a reason to pull in lots of other stuff. But you can find some hints and tips here on how to make your own make.conf, because they have structured it fairly well. And Sabayon in general, I think, is nice. They have the GNOME, KDE, Mate, and Fluxbox as default, but of course you can change that after you install it to LXQt or whatever you prefer. So in my opinion, Sabayon is a really nice option if you want something that just works in the Gen 2 sphere. And this is also a rolling release, as opposed to Calculate Linux. So Calculate Linux is nice. They have some nice graphics. They have a good selection of fonts installed that makes it look nice. But I don't agree with their philosophy in how they do settings and stuff. So I'm not going to use Calculate Linux myself. If I would use something like that, I would go for Sabayon probably. Anyway, right now we're in Funtoo, and we're gonna continue with my script for settings. And what I just realized when I did this is that I didn't unpack the file with my Funtoo structure. So it took me a while to realize, but there we go. ls, I should have that tar untarred. I'm going to untar that. It doesn't take long. Which was the final step that I forgot to do before setting up the basic system. And after we have untarred that, we can go on with the script. So as you can see, I mean, a lot of times you can just remember these things, but it just feels good to me to follow a script so that I know, normally I would know that I don't forget anything. In this case, I did forget something because I took a break to start preparing this video, but normally you would just go through the script and you wouldn't forget stuff. So I just copy the network settings to my new installation from the LiveDVD or the Live USB, and I mean the Live USB usually has good identification of network. We know that the network is working, and then we're gonna change the root into our new system. So now we are actually in the Funtoo system, even though what you see is still the Calculate Linux. But any command I run is in Funtoo right now. So as you can see, I couldn't run the emerge sync in the Calculate Linux USB because there's no space to do anything. It's locked. But since I changed over to my Funtoo system, I'm now able to do emerge sync, get all the latest updates, and this is from Git, so it can be a bit slow. 2 megabytes per second is not outstanding, but it's okay, I guess. So now that we have done that, we get a notification we should read the news, and those are old news. I'm just going to go and purge all those news so I don't get that notification anymore, and then I will go and update my FS tab, file system tab, and I mean whatever you put here. This time around I made everything ext4. Normally actually I made the boot system vfat so that Windows can read it, but it doesn't really matter what you put, I guess. I never really had a reason to read the FAT from Windows anyway. And on this laptop I don't have a CD-ROM, so I don't really need to uncomment that. And then I just follow the script. If you have a different time zone, you can find your time zone in this folder, and you just copy that to your time zone file, and then we will use that later to update the system. Like so, emerge, and the config flag updates that automatically. Actually, that creates a link, but I'm just going to create the link anyway, just to make sure that it's there. And then we have the different locales. Now, I'm Swedish, so I'm going to add the Swedish locales. And my wife is Thai, and now and then I do have Thai text, so I'm going to add the Thai locales as well. And I'm going to add both UTF-8 and the Latin ISO locales, just because. Sometimes you come across software that doesn't support the UTF-8 character set, so it's just good to have both. Anyway, so we generate those locales, and then we have to select the one, and I normally select the US one, even though I'm Swedish. So then you have the numbers there that you just pick the number 2 in this case for the US, and you can see that there's a bit asterisk there if I list it again after selecting it to show which one is currently selected. Update environment to include those locales, and then we continue the script with loading the key maps. I'm just going to scroll up my script a bit. So just this is a list of the QWERTY key maps that you could have, and I mean, you would obviously select whichever one is correct for you. I would normally go for the Swedish Latin 1 key map if I have a Swedish keyboard, which is Lat 6 maybe on this one. It should be a Latin 1. Oh yeah, there. SV Latin 1 is normally the Swedish one, but since I am using the US by default, I'm going to pick the US key map anyway. So I'm just gonna go in and edit the environment O2 locale file, and there I have no idea what this does actually, but I've seen this recommended in some guides to put the LXQt C, and I also saw someone who put the LC numeric as POSIX. I have no idea what it does. I just saw someone do it, and I thought, why not? And then we can see how many processes we have, and copy the example and change it, or we could do it from scratch. In my case, since I have done this before on this computer, I already have my Dropbox loaded with some backup files. So I'm just going to copy an old backup file, and I'm going to use that. But I mean, it's just to speed things up. You could write it from scratch as well if you want, or you could copy the example, whatever works for you. And then I also have a package use directory set up, which I have to copy recursively. And then there you see all of the packages that I already have use flags set up for my previous installation. For example, Mesa would normally just be -LLVM because it doesn't like that. But I also have added a couple of other flags because there was some conflict with some other package or something. So if I know that I'm going to do that anyway, I'm just going to add it from the start to avoid any unnecessary rebuilds of packages. Now, what happened after this? The reason why I'm reinstalling right now is because I had everything up and running and working really nice, and everything was smooth and fine, except for my display manager, SDDM, and any recording software, including FFmpeg, would just lag like crazy. Super slow updates. So there's something wrong with my graphics driver. And I've been asking on the IRC, I've been looking at forums, I've been Googling like crazy. I've found several different people who have the same problem as me, but I didn't find anyone who has a solution. Except that when you run these live DVDs and stuff, it's working for them because they just add every possible settings that you can add. So what I'm doing now is basically I'm going through some use flags that I found in these live DVDs where recording is working fine without any lag on my laptop. And I'm just hoping that with these flags, the lag will just disappear. So I will be changing my use flags a bit from the backup that I had, even though the backup I had was working great. And as you can see, I removed Wayland. I had that Wayland as my goal originally to work with, but it turns out that Wayland is not really mature. There's lots of bugs. It keeps crashing all the time, and it's just annoying when you're working on something and X is crashing. So I decided that even though I thought it would be working, it is apparently not quite ready for deployment quite yet. I mean, you can get it working, you just can't get it stable and crash free. So that's why I'm removing it. Anyway, a lot of these use flags that I put in now, I have no idea what they're doing. I'm just adding them because I saw it in some LiveDVD, and that LiveDVD is working fine. So since that LiveDVD is working fine, I'm just gonna copy things and change things around and just see where it takes me. Normally, I mean, you want to enable a use flag that does the use flags are supposed to accomplish something that you want to accomplish. But in this case, no one knows what I should change to make things working. No one I asked has any answer on how to make it working. So in this case, I'm just down to trying pretty much anything and see what happens. This is one of the things that was suggested to work, that I should just use the Intel video card flag, but as it turns out, even though I just used that, it doesn't really change anything. So I'm adding the i965 and the Visa, whatever you say it, however you say it in English, Vesa in Swedish. So I also just, I don't know, I'm just adding here for fun some German, Finnish, French, Italian locales, because I have the intention of writing some text, and maybe I want to use some spelling correction at some point. Actually, I should put some Greek in there as well, but I don't know, is that GR? It doesn't matter. This FF tools also, I have no idea what these things do. I'm just hoping that it will make FFmpeg work better or more lag free, so that I can record videos once I get Funtoo started. Because right now, with the settings that I had, I couldn't record anything in Funtoo because I had the recording software had like 0.5 frames per second. Whereas everything else was running super smooth. Except, well, yes, like I said, SDDM also have some problems. Now, it was suggested to me that I put the jobs and load of portage in the bash RC, SEC to the left, in the script, and the benefit of that is that it is actually going to dynamically load based on how many processor cores you have. You put the job load appropriately. The bad thing about that is that you need to reload or re-log in to the terminal after you set that. So the first time I run this emerge, I'm not going to have that. As you can see now, because I'm going to update everything with the recently synced files, and also apply all of those use flags that I just changed. And as you can see, because I just threw in lots of use flags that I have no idea what they're doing, they're causing a bit of conflicts. So before we do anything else, we have to go back to make conf, and we have to remove one of those conflicts, even though I have no idea what I'm adding or removing. SSL is some communication, isn't it? So I don't think I need that anyway for lagging. And now OpenCL has some causing some conflict, so I'm just going to remove that flag as well. It's just a bit trial and error of new use flags to get recording working in my installation. And this is the nice thing about having this install script, because I can quite quickly go through the script and get a fresh installation that is exactly like the one I had before, except with whatever few changes that I want to make. So here I have a tricky choice, because OpenGL and VOPI are both flags that are affecting graphics. So basically I have to pick a flag to remove, and let's try OpenGL first and see if I can remove that flag from that package, which is not an ideal situation. Now it doesn't work in this case, which means that I have to remove the VOPI from the Mesa package. Those two were the flags that I added from the LiveDVD samples that I found where it was working, to make my graphics a bit smoother. So I just basically have to hope that removing VOPI here is not going to be the thing that makes the difference between having a functioning system or not. Because then all the other use flags that I changed would be worthless, and reinstalling the system would be worthless too. I mean, I could change things around in the live system as well. It's just that I had a lot of stuff that I try and uninstall it, and I try it, uninstall it, and I try, and finally you get to a point where you're not really sure all those things that you tried, are they still in the system affecting something? Which is why I prefer to just start from scratch sometimes. Anyway, as you can see, I finally started the emerge, and it is very slow. It's only emerging one thing at a time, because I have that. But basically, what I'm going to do after this emerge is I'm going to install the kernel and grub. I'm going to configure the network, which you have to find the adapter name. Could be Eth0 or Enp0S25 or something. And you link that and make it start. Then you have a wired connection. And then I use the Wi-Fi PA whatever supplicant for Wi-Fi. And the settings here, I don't know. I just tried something, and this seems to be working well for me. Maybe I shouldn't have that update config there. I'm not sure. You put the driver in the net configuration. For me, this is IWL Wi-Fi because I have Intel, but whatever you need to put is your driver. And you can put your host name in there as well. And then you start. You create your user, you reboot, and after that, we'll go through the window manager and desktop environment. And I will do that in a new video after I get this working with recording in Funtoo and not on the LiveDVD, because I need to reboot into that system anyway. So currently also like 98% of the CPU is going to record my desktop to record this video. So I mean, it's going to take forever to wait for all of these packages to emerge and install. Anyway, so I'm not gonna wait for that. I'm just gonna quit this, and yeah, I will restart recording once I have that working. So yeah, a look at the first step of installing Funtoo. I already covered this once before, I think, but at least now you got to see it in the process of doing things. So see you later.